In this video, we will be complementing our recent video on the introduction to the Aboleth with a guide on how to build an adventure around these alien aberrations that you can pick up and place straight into your campaign. The Aboleth is a formidable opponent, boasting a chunky challenge rating 10. This monstrous entity is not for the faint-hearted, and failure to deal with it correctly could swiftly lead to a player's death. This adventure is tailored for 4 players at level 5, and you can make this adventure stretch over 5 sessions, or maybe even more if your table really leans into the role-playing aspect of Dungeons & Dragons. This adventure will begin in a small town, where locals and travellers have vanished without a trace. Feel free to let your imagination go wild on the rumours the party hears. However, the grim reality is, in fact, some of the locals have been enslaved by an Aboleth, who plans to enslave all land dwellers and eradicate their need for a god. This is what you will need: a small town with 2 working inns, a 3rd inn that has recently been destroyed, a constable's office, a church. Complement these with the other fine establishments of a typical fantasy town. And the final piece is an ancient sunken temple or a cave complex roughly a mile away from the town. This will be the lair of the Aboleth. Now your adventurers will continue to sit in a tavern unless you provide them with a reason to move. So here are 3 story hooks you could use. 1. The owner of the recently destroyed inn has reached out to them for assistance. They may be a friend of your friend or an acquaintance of one of your party members. 2. A useful contact has gone missing while visiting the town. 3. People have recently left after friends became hostile and the church no longer feels like a safe place to pray. Now it's time for the adventure. Within this town, you'll need to decide who has been enslaved and who has not. To help navigate this challenge, you will need the following NPCs to be enslaved as a minimum: the owner and staff of one of the inns, the priest/priestess of the church and their followers, and the constable. Flesh out your NPCs and allow the party to wander the town freely, with each encounter feeding them small pieces of information, letting their curiosity become their compass. For example, an enslaved local protective over the town and not supportive of the hero's attendance, a vigilant constable who has it all under wraps and discourages others from interfering, or a farming family bemoaning the decline of their business due to recent ongoing concerns. Dungeon Master, be creative here and build 3 or 4 ways of this happening. For example, 1. The party is attacked in the middle of the night. 2. The church invites them in for a closed service. 3. The constable's office decides to arrest them. Or 4. They are drugged while visiting an inn. Whatever you do here, always throw in an extra enslaved face from another of the town's factions to let the players know they are up against it. However, reward good plans and ideas. If the players manage to navigate the webs of deceit, provide them with the opportunity to tail the enslaved, unravelling the path to the Aboleth's lair with fresh victims. And introduce them to NPCs who harbour suspicions of recent events, who can become valuable allies, providing information, items, or even support in battle. Here is a top tip for you. To elevate the intrigue, provide the Aboleth with a title with a humanised name, an honorific name that adds another layer of mystery. Titles such as the Dame, the Reverend, or the Grand Duke will tease players' minds, leaving them to second-guess what is truly responsible for the town's recent descent into darkness. So moving on to the Aboleth's lair. It's key to know the regional effects surrounding the Aboleth's lair, and to utilise them to make this adventure a one-of-a-kind. Any underground surface within a mile of the lair is slimy and wet, creating difficult terrain, and the water sources are fouled, and if consumed will cause vomiting. Most importantly, the Aboleth can cast an illusion of itself, something you can utilise to great effect. We will get to this shortly. Now your players will still have no idea what they are facing here, and the Aboleth will begin to use its abilities to lure them into its lair where it's strongest. To do this, begin creating illusions in open pools of water, which the party are traversing in a rather old rowing boat, only showing glimpses of the Aboleth. A tentacle reaching out of the water, a silhouette beneath the water seen for only a second, or a large body just above the water off in the distance, only to submerge itself out of sight when the players get too close. Taunt them with telepathic communication, offering that which they most desire, testing their resolve and character. Feel free to go one step further and combine these. Show them what they desire: a long-lost loved one, piles of treasure, a lost artifact. Lean into their backstories and act like the extremely cruel and intelligent aberrations who hungers for domination. Its true lair will be a large cavern with several deep pools connected together, below with paths separating them above. This allows your party to move around with reasonable freedom, however not as much as the Aboleth. It can now swim out of range and sight, resurfacing on the next round whenever it prefers, while utilising the Lair's regional effects to create an illusionary copy of itself from another pool. As we mentioned previously, these beings are super intelligent and will use the enslave ability on those with the weakest wisdom, something it could comprehend from its earlier telepathic probing. While in melee range, it will happily use its tentacles to hit and hopefully disease its foes, turning their skin translucent and slimy and unable to heal unless underwater. However, the Aboleth's ability to control water is a superpower that must not be ignored, moving the party where it needs them to be, or infecting them with its mucus, or just drawing them. If your party manages to defeat this foe, its enslaved will be freed, however some may not survive the transition back. Talking of transitions, to assist your party in the event of them becoming diseased, you would be best to provide them with the tools to cure this, or risk splitting the party between land and water, unless you have a mobile fish tank. Include an NPC magic user who can cast 6th level healing magic that they can befriend or enter the lair, or a magic item or spell scrolls to help them get out of a bad situation. And lastly, don't be a stingy DM. Be sure to create a treasure hoard worthy of such success. Maybe hidden within the Aboleth's lair, centuries of fancy items it's collected that could provide more quest hooks for your party. So there you have it, fellow travellers. An adventure with an Aboleth ready to be picked up and thrown into your campaign. If you had any great experiences with the Aboleth, be sure to leave a comment below. And if you choose to use this adventure, please let us know how it went. Until next time.